I don't usually talk about the role Trump played in my brother's death because a year and a half later it's still so upsetting to me. It's hard for me to talk about. I think about it every day. It makes me really sad. But I feel like with the few days before the election, I have to say something about it just in case it can help sway anybody's opinion or just remind anybody not to vote for this guy. Remind anybody else to speak up about how Trump's hurt them and their family. And yeah, that's one reason I haven't talked about it too, not just because it's so hurtful and upsetting to talk about, but because I know Trump's hurt so many other people and ended so many other lives, hurt so many other families with similar type things. His lies about COVID or the Trump virus is I've always called it and will always call it. Um, help uh, kill a million people in America, over a million people, 2 million people in America, millions of people worldwide. And that's not what happened to my brother directly. It's kind of related to that. But he did a lot of other things besides that too, that he hasn't had any consequences for. Nobody's talking about all those people he killed, all those people his lies ruined or ended their lives. And he let insulin get up to $1,500. So it's not entirely Trump's fault that it killed my high school friend Michelle when she had to ration her insulin when it was $1,500. And that's not all Trump's fault, but he was partly responsible for that too. He's partly responsible for so many deaths to so many people. But my brother's the one I care the most about. And I guess another reason I haven't said anything about it is because I've always had just as much reasons. I've always had all these reasons to be against Trump before this happened to my brother. I've always been this much against Trump. And it just made it more personal, but it's too personal. So I didn't talk about it, but I'll talk about it now just in case it helps anybody decide or understand or lets you know you can talk about it too. And I feel like maybe the emotion about it comes out in other ways, so maybe it's good for me to talk about it. But my brother, we grew up in Georgia. My brother's name's Canaan. He was a preacher. We grew up in Georgia. He started preaching in Alabama and then went to TCU, Texas Christian University in Texas, and was preaching in Tennessee, Kentucky border there, and then in Colorado. And he went to Yale at one point and got infected by pro-life ideology. And he was very progressive when we were growing up. He was my role model in becoming the way I was, and, my social views of politics and things. And then he got infested by pro-life, and that led to him adopting anti-vax ideas, which were a struggle for me even during the pandemic, just wanting to protect him from that, but knowing that he was in with some bad people who didn't really care about him, only cared about using him to spread misinformation and fear-mongering stuff. Anyway, because he got into the anti-vax stuff, he had the kind of distrust of science that goes with that. So he had a rare form of cancer, neuroendocrine cancer, and he didn't get treated for it. And even if he had gotten treated for it, the outlooks weren't going to be good. It was more like an extension more than being able to cure the cancer. It's supposed to be incurable at this time. But that made me think, he was very healthy. Like, he didn't eat sugar for decades to avoid getting cancer, and was a very healthy person in all these ways. And he could have been somebody that helped him figure out how to cure that cancer. He could have lived longer. And you could probably tell I feel blame myself for things like this, but somebody that played a role in it, that hasn't had any consequences and doesn't even know who he is, but used him to spread misinformation about stuff, is Trump and these other Trump hooteners. And I know they've done it to people you know too, people you miss too. So I hope that in their honor and for the honor that we have as Americans and for democracy and just for a better way of life for everybody, and a country and a president for everybody, not for the smallest minority of terrible people. My brother was never like that. He just got suckered in on the pro-life lies and anti-vax lies. I miss you, Kaden. I love you, and I'm sorry. I wish you were here. I'm sorry for everybody who's lost somebody. I didn't want to make it about me, but I think you understand it's not about you. It's not even about them. It's just about all of us together and missing people we don't have to. So thanks, and please vote for Kamala, and please share your stories if you can. I feel better, I think. I hope you do too. And I'm sorry. I love you. See you soon.